And good morning, YouTube. Steve Velocity's here again, and I wanted to do a follow-up real quick on my chalkboard, dartboard. Just to let you know that if you're going to use blackboard paint, you want the smoothest wood possible. And even though I had sanded this down 220 grit, and it's fairly smooth, when you actually write on it, it writes great. So success there. But take my little eraser here, and a normal smooth chalkboard probably has some really smooth hardwood that it uses. And you can see, really hard to erase. And even when I take like water or a damp rag and I wash it off, it's still possible for it to get caught up in here. So effectively that means that it's definitely usable, but you have to wash it every single time, you know. So I mean, for a garage, not too bad, but there's little cracks and crevices that the chalk gets caught up in. Other than that, it's a win-win. So use smooth wood. And also, I wanted to go ahead and show you a good yard sale find. And let's see here. What I got here is a wind machine. And I paid $3 at a yard sale for this. And it blows really good air. It's great for a little shop like this. The only thing wrong is it needed some Gorilla Glue. You can see the right duct tape on the right, or on its left side, my right side. And I took some Gorilla Glue and some Elmer's plastic glue and fixed it. So that's just a cool find. $3. Works like a champ. Lots of air. So today, what I'm actually going to do is going to go ahead and do my stationary workbench in this corner. I'm going to also make it, you know, so that I can actually store plywood pieces behind it. So I got plywood behind the deck. You gotta bear with me today. I've got like serious allergies going on, and they started last Wednesday. We got lots of ragweed in the area right now, and so I'm not down, so I'm gonna keep going. But man, I'll tell you. So anyway, there's plywood that's behind the big 8-foot workbench that I can store full sheets, and then I'll have a section here that I can put small sheets and pieces. Then I'll have my workbench, which is probably going to work out to about 3.5 by 2 feet, 3.5 feet by 2 feet, and 34 inches high. And I'll have my tools and stuff on there, and then on that back wall. My goal is to get that done today, and then I really need to get the pallets that are in front of the garage. I'm going to get those broke down. I got some really good wood that I can show you guys. And it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend this weekend. My trip to the U-Pull-It place and diversion with my broken back window, that sort of tied up my Friday afternoon, and it tied up pretty much all of yesterday till I just finally said, took the rest of the day off. If I do get time today, I would really like to do a video on making my pallet prior or pallet puller, which is going to be based on a design that Izzy Swan did. So anyway, without further ado, I think I need to get busy, and this is just going to be a relaxing day. So there are some new things I'm going to try as far as videoing goes. I'm going to try to do some more like live segments of actually what I'm doing. And I do have a tool that speeds up video, so I'm going to be playing with that a little bit. So I really don't want more than 15 minutes of video, which means that if it does take longer, you're going to see me like running around really fast. I hope it works. Microsoft has some really good software. So anyway, let's get busy. Okay, first things first. This has been a good workhorse for the last 3 months. Now I'm going into 4 months. It's finally starting to really work, so I've got to save this wood. All these 2x4s are going to be going onto my workbench, so I'm going to start tearing this puppy down now. Normally I would try to save these screws, but these things are pretty corroded, so I'm not going to reuse them. For some reason, it's really hard to find these screws. There we go. And I got some easy outs. I got some strip screws. And this doesn't make very good video feed, so you know what I'm doing. And I'll check back in as soon as I get this thing sort of taken care of. Alright, and there you have it. You can see the good wood right there that I got out of the table, and you can see the wood, that big piece of plywood. You can see where all the water damage got to it, and then the longer boards, like right here, there's just a lot of cracking and water damage. And so if I do use that wood, what I will do is just let it dry out a little bit and just use parts of it for little things here and there. But I don't know, maybe I could learn something about wood when it gets wet and then dries, still be able to use it for stuff. But maybe there's something good left in it, I don't know. But these are going to be perfect for my small workbench. And only the top screws were messed up. So you can see I got a lot of brass screws that are in fairly good shape, and maybe a little bit of buffing up or something. But other than that, I mean, that's enough to do to build my workbench. Without having to expend any more money. So that was my free Craigslist table that was given to me by a college student who was leaving the state because his wife got a really good job out of state, so he was transferring, and free is free. And I used it, and now it's what you'd call an upcycle. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do some wood prep work, because I need to sand some of this wood, I mean, especially where it was touching the ground. And for the most part, though, looks like it's going to be pretty easy, not a lot of cutting. Alrighty, see you in a little bit. Alrighty, guys, so what I'm basically doing now, like I said, was basically just cleaning these 2x4s up and sanding them a little bit. So I spared you having to watch me do that. And I'm only going to sand what I need. But what I'm going to also do is I'm sort of a build-as-you-go kind of guy. I mean, I did download a copy of SketchUp Make, and so I have to teach myself how to use that. But there's so much time invested in learning curve and learning that program and then learning how to put things into 3D drawings, and I just don't have that much time right now. So what I've done is I've cleaned these boards up really well. I've decided, because I'm so tall, this is a 37-inch bench, but for my height it's great because it's right at my hip joint, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make that 35 inches, and then when I put the top on it, it's going to raise it up to about 37. And I can still sit it if I want to, or I can just go ahead and like stand up and work, which I do both. It doesn't matter to me. So anyway, I've got to cut this board down, and I'm actually teaching myself a new way to do this. I don't have a table saw yet, and so what I've seen on YouTube is these guys and girls out there, they're basically using this as a straight edge while they go ahead and cut. And it's just so they can square up the joints a lot better. And that's just something I learned on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up my circular saw. And this will actually be the first time I've actually done this. I'm wearing a mask today for everything because of my sinuses. And let's see if I can make a square cut. I've gotten pretty good at eyeballing it, but I want to learn a new skill here. So let's see. All right. Not bad. Can't believe it. Some of the simplest little things in life. Okay, so once again, this workbench does not have to be square. It's just a workbench. I haven't got to the level where I'm going to actually build something that I need to have the top level, because I'm not really doing joinery just yet. And I'm sure as I go along I'll get better and better at it. Maybe with some of the smaller projects I'll start to see a need for that. Anyway, that's the first time I've ever done that, and that's pretty square. Alright. I'd say that's, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's on the top, and it's pretty square along the sides there. So alright, I'm going to go ahead and sand this down. Still got a lot of sanding to do with some of my cross pieces, but simple project. I won't be spending all day on this one. I want to build my my pallet prior. I want to rip this good wood down and get it stored in here. Yes sir, buddy. Alright, I'm going to get back to work. Okay, so most of my time has been spent on sanding and taking this wood with the paint on it that was all dilapidated looking and just cleaning it up a lot. Some pieces there's still paint on it, but I won't be they won't be visible. So anyway, you can notice that I've got both side pieces built right here, and they're all square. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, they're all square there. And so what I'm trying to do is square it up here before I take these pieces right here and put them in. So it's a really, like I said, a very, very small workbench, but that's really what I want. I want something just very small that I can possibly sit at or work at, and there you go. So that's That's good. My hand's kind of in the way. Anyway, I guess, you know, you can take my word for it. But for me, that's a good thing to be able to square things up. All right, let's see. So not bad. Not bad at all for somebody who's a beginner and trying to do better. So, gonna put the top on and attach it, and I'll be back soon. Okay, so now I've got the back and the front and the sides attached, and I just went ahead and did a basic piece of plywood on the bottom shelf. So I've got 10 inches of room under the bench to store, and then I've got the shelf with probably 18 inches, 15 to 18 inches storage under the top of the bench. It's actually anchored to the 8-foot bench, so it's very sturdy. And I've got 2.5 inch star driver tools or screws, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 6 per corner on the top holding it in, and then 2 in the front and back. Now, here's the idea. Okay, this is sort of what I had envisioned. So let me go ahead and just throw this wood up here real quick. The minute I took this off the shelf and I saw how seasoned the wood was, I'll pull it back this way. Now I still need to have clearance back here for my plywood storage so I can get it in and out. And then the idea that I had about storing plywood behind the bench just isn't realistic, because there's just not enough room in here to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and ixnay that. It's no longer part of the plan. But if you look at this seasoned 2x8 material, okay, when I clean this stuff up, it is going to be beautiful. So this one, okay, now as far as the actual frame itself, it is square. It's like totally square. It measures 3.5 or 43.5 to from corner to corner, and I got that right. Now this, I'm going to attempt this without a table saw, but I'm going to glue these sections of the board together. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead, without a table saw, I'm going to go ahead and use, I'm going to cut these down to 42 inches so that they just overlap a little bit here, and this way I can put my bench vise over here. And then 42 inches this way, and then I'm going to actually straight cut, rip each one of these along the edge. So it's going to be a little bit less than the 2x8. But I'm going to do it using that method where I just measure in 1.25 inches from my saw blade into my level, which is anchored to the board. This way I get a nice straight cut, and this way whenever I glue this wood back together again, it's going to have a nice tight joint as far as that goes. And I'm going to let that sit overnight. So that's actually what I'm going to be working on right now. And if you look at this wood, right now it hasn't been cleaned up, but as soon as I sand it down, it's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The bench, other than that, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a higher backing here. That way I can actually hang tools right in this area as far as that goes, and along there. So anyway, I will keep you posted as things develop. Okay, so just like I said, I'm going to go ahead, I've cut these down to 45 inches or 42 inches, and that's with the overhang there. And I've set up my jig, and basically instead of measuring a 1.25 inches, I did 1.5 inches back, which means I'll just be taking a 1/4 inch off the edge. I'm going to do this on each one of the edges, so that's 2 cuts per board, that's 6 cuts. And I'm definitely making use of my my clamps with these big ones. So I'll go ahead. I don't know if I got a good camera vantage point here that I can actually do this, but let's see. All right. Not that that's going to show you anything but me cutting, but at least you can see that I've got it so nothing moves, and I should be able to cut right on straight there. All right, here we go. Alrighty, that's actually pretty hard wood to cut. So, and let's see if I can give you guys a good view. That's a pretty straight cut right there. So when I glue this together, I'm going to end up doing some serious heavy-duty sanding. I really don't have a bench plane at this point, but if I do this right, I can always bench plane it later when I buy one. So that's pretty good. If I can do that, I really only care about my top edge being good. But if I can do that 6 more times with those kind of results, then I'll be good. So as soon as I'm done with my cuts, I'll lay it up there and glue it, and then let you see it again. Alrighty, this is my very first attempt to take 2x8s and put them together. And first time's always a charm. So I might as well share with you some lessons I'm learning as I go along. First thing is you need more than 2 30-inch bar clamps to do something like this. This is 23 1/4 inches wide, I think, or 23 3/4, something like that. Anyway, if you're going to go ahead and cut down the edges, you're better off using a table saw for sure. I mean, the circular saw did a pretty good job, but it's really not the best tool for the job. Sometimes the motor would bog down. I think it's a 7 1/4 inch skill saw, and the couple burn marks, I guess, where the blade's getting a little duller, but not too bad as far as it goes. I sanded it down, but what I'm finding is I had to use some of my truck straps to help keep this together, and it's really not going to be perfect. This is my first attempt. In a nutshell, though, I think when all is said and done, it's going to do pretty good. Right now, there's a little bit of a bow in it. Hopefully, the glue, even though it dries like that, hopefully, when I bolt it down, it will bring it down. We'll find out. And let's see, I can definitely tell it's bowed there. That may be a big problem, but we'll see. I'm going to let it dry for 30 minutes to an hour. Then we'll come out here before it totally cures, and I'm going to actually install it on the top here. And then I'm going to sand it once it's on the top. I've heard some things about Gorilla Glue. Hopefully, I'll be able to get that Gorilla Glue out of there, meaning like when I sand it, it goes away and doesn't leave a stain on the top. If it does leave a stain, then I'm just going to go to Tri-Bond. I'm not going to mess with Gorilla Glue anymore. And there's definitely some cracks in there. I don't think I'm going to get this one perfect, but I think when I sand it down, first attempt bench, it'll still get me through my projects. After all, it's my garage. And I just haven't got to the point where I'm really good at this yet. I'm sure a lot of people out there have tried things the first time and turned out crappy, and then eventually they figured out how to do it right. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop right now and let this thing dry. Okay, so I went ahead and took the clamps off a little early because I didn't really want the glue to set in too good. And what I've noticed is that when I did that, it's still holding the wood together, but it's letting it settle down a little bit. So the bow isn't quite evident. And then I had learned a little trick. I had a number of defects on the top of this. And so what I did is I filled in those defects with glue, like these lines. I went ahead and put glue in there, and then sawdust, so that any holes or any imperfections, like there was a knot hole right here, see that? And I went ahead and letting that sort of dry, so that when I sand it down, it's going to be part of the wood grain finish. And more than likely, it might cause some blending issues. In other words, you can tell where I put the glue in the sawdust. But I think for me, it's going to look pretty good anyway. And I just want to make sure that I've got a good smooth surface that I'm working on with no holes and things like that. And anyway, I think at that point, once I've got this thing down, this top attached, I'm thinking about putting a board straight up here, and maybe with some 2x4s to make it sturdy. And then of course I'm going to have a backdrop there so that I can actually hang tools and stuff. So I may give another video when I'm done with this. Matter of fact, I really should, because the project's not complete till I do. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will check back in as soon as I make some more progress. Alright, I think I'm going to go just about ready to call it quits tonight. It's really funny. I said this morning that I wasn't going to take all day on this, but these projects, if you want to try to do them right, they take a while to do. I cannot believe how much time I have invested in this garage makeover, but I'm really proud of the achievement and how far I've gotten. So you can see that this wood was that wood. And let's give you a real quick rundown. So actually, considering what it looked like whenever I was trying to clamp it together and glue it to what it looks like now, it's like night and day. Now it's definitely not perfect. There's still a little bit of a bow right here, and I haven't decided how I want to attach that. I don't know if screws all along here will make it look like crap, or if I should go ahead and try to do some brackets underneath, like right in that area somewhere. I don't know. Or if I should just leave it like that. I mean, right now, what little Gorilla Glue seeped through the bottom is holding it. I can lift it, but it's very heavy. I mean, this is pretty sturdy. So if I wanted just to Gorilla Glue it down there on every corner, the sucker would probably just stay right there. Or liquid nail. You know, maybe I'll do that, because I got the top. All the cracks are looking pretty good. You can see right here where the Gorilla Glue is pretty stubborn. I was able to get it all out. I mean, I'd rather have it looking like this than have the crack showing. So I think from now on I'm going to try Tri-Bond when I try something like this again. I think they call it Tri-Bond 2. And we'll see how that works. But anyway, it's smooth. I've got one continuous piece of lumber out of, like a top, out of four. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pieces of lumber. So it's almost a shame. I need to put some kind of oil on this to preserve it so it doesn't start looking like that again in the next 10 years. But this is halfway done. One day's work, lots of sanding. It's pretty sturdy, it's stationary, and it's going to actually And once I get this organized, it'll start looking like things flow pretty smoothly in here. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe. Definitely give suggestions. If you've done something that worked better, please let me know. And like if you like. And I guess I'll see you guys maybe not tomorrow. I think I'm going to take tomorrow off before I have to go back to work on Tuesday, but definitely we'll be back to finish this particular project for sure. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.